Their fleet vanished, because they entered human space. The Corran fleet was the pride of the Outer Rim. 30 massive warships, each one longer than a city, moved through the cold dark like a wall of metal and fire. Their hulls shone with blue light, their cannons glowed with the power of plasma, and their crews believed no force in the galaxy could ever stop them. They had hunted pirates for years. Ruthless raiders, smugglers, rebels, none had ever escaped the Corran navy. They were the galaxy's enforcers. Their name alone was enough to make small civilizations surrender without a fight. But then, they disappeared. It began with a routine mission near the edge of mapped space. An unmarked system. No records. No trade routes. The fleet entered to track a group of pirates that had stolen military tech. The admiral expected a quick, easy victory. The pirates ran toward a small yellow star surrounded by 8 planets. That was the last anyone ever heard from them. No distress call. No explosions detected. No emergency beacons. Just silence. Their transmissions stopped mid-sentence. Even the black box signals, designed to activate after destruction, never activated. At first, the Corran High Command thought it was sabotage. Maybe the pirates had used some kind of jamming device. But when a probe was sent to investigate, it too went dark. Then another. Then 10 more. Each one entered the system and never came out. The Galactic Council grew nervous. They gathered in their shining chamber above the gas world of Zala Prime, where hundreds of alien species met to maintain peace. There, under the golden lights, whispers filled the air. 30 ships don't vanish. Something's in that system. Maybe the pirates found a weapon. Or maybe, it's a trap. The Council's science division studied the region. It was quiet, too quiet. No radio signals, no power signatures, no warp traffic. Just one small sun and 8 worlds. One of the planets, the third from the star, showed traces of oxygen, nitrogen, and water. It was habitable. But it was also marked in ancient archives with a single word, Sol. The name meant nothing to most. But to the oldest members of the Council, the archivists, the historians, it did. They remembered rumors from the early days of exploration. Stories of a violent species that had nearly wiped itself out before achieving faster-than-light travel. Humans, one old scholar whispered. That's the human system. The word spread quickly through the chamber. Humans. The deathworlders. No one had seen them in centuries. The last contact report was over 300 years old, when a human exploration ship had accidentally entered Council space. The humans had been small in number then, isolated, struggling to survive on a harsh planet full of predators, poison, and endless storms. The Council had marked their world as quarantined, too dangerous to visit, too unpredictable to include. And then, the humans vanished from the records. No one cared. No one asked. The galaxy moved on. Until now. The Corran fleet's disappearance changed everything. If the humans were still there, if they had advanced, then the galaxy might be facing something far worse than pirates. A secret meeting was called among the Council's admirals. Holograms flickered to life around a circular table, showing 30 empty Corran ships drifting in the dark, their last known positions fading into static. No wreckage, no debris, said one general. It's as if they were erased from existence. Impossible, another hissed. No one has that power. Then where are they? A single holo image appeared on the table. A faint transmission, barely readable, detected by a passing drone days after the fleet vanished. It was only a few seconds long. A voice. Distorted, human-like. Repeating one phrase over and over. You shouldn't have come here. The Council chamber fell silent. The voice was calm. Too calm. Not a threat, not a warning, just a statement of fact. For the first time in decades, the galaxy's most powerful leaders were afraid. Still, many dismissed it as coincidence. The admirals argued for logic. No species can destroy a fleet of 30 ships in silence. It must be a spatial anomaly. Maybe a black hole. But others were not so sure. Because when the drones scanned the edges of that system, they found traces, tiny fragments of artificial satellites, each broadcasting on old-style radio frequencies. One of those frequencies matched something ancient. Something from the archives. A signal labeled Earth Broadcast Network, 21st century. Human technology. That was enough to start the rumors. Among smugglers, miners, and travelers, the story spread like wildfire. The Corran fleet entered human space. They woke something that was sleeping. And it took them. Soon, every spaceport in the Outer Rim was filled with quiet talk about the Sol system. Pilots swore they could hear whispers on long-range comms. A few claimed to see flashes of light near the border, blue, sharp, silent. Some believed it was the ghosts of the Corran dead. Others believed it was something else. Something alive. And far away, on the edge of a forgotten blue world, deep under layers of atmosphere and cloud, a radar system flickered to life. A screen blinked red. A voice echoed in an ancient control bunker. Unauthorized entry detected. Outer perimeter breached. Alarms began to pulse. Machines powered up. In the darkness, buried under centuries of quiet, Earth had noticed. The humans were awake again. For weeks, the galaxy whispered about the missing Corran fleet. 30 warships, gone without a trace. No one wanted to say it aloud, but everyone was thinking the same thing. The fleet had entered human space, and never returned. At first, the Galactic Council tried to hide the truth. They erased records, silenced reporters, and claimed the ships were lost in a spatial storm. But when families began demanding answers, when trading routes near the Sol system went dark, the Council could no longer pretend. Someone had to find out what happened. So they sent another fleet. A smaller one. 15 ships, led by Admiral Vika of the Corran Navy, a name spoken with both fear and respect. Vika was no ordinary commander. He had fought wars across 10 systems, crushed rebellions, and once destroyed a moon to end a siege. He didn't believe in myths, legends, or ghosts. To him, everything had an answer, one that could be found with firepower and logic. But when he was briefed on his mission, even he felt a chill run down his spine. The officer beside him whispered, "Sir, they say it's human space." Vika scoffed. Humans? Extinct savages. Their world should have burned itself by now. Still, he couldn't shake the unease. The fleet prepared for departure from Outpost 7, a dark station orbiting a dying star. Engineers fueled reactors, soldiers loaded weapons, and scanners were tuned to detect anything unusual. As the countdown began, Vika stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Veil, staring into the void. "Plot course for the Sol system," he ordered. "And keep all channels open. I want to hear everything." The ships jumped to faster-than-light speed, their engines tearing bright scars through the dark. For 3 days, they traveled in silence. No transmissions, no chatter. Just the hum of power and the endless pull of the stars. But as they neared the unmarked system, strange things began to happen. First, their sensors glitched. Then, navigational data started shifting, distances changing, coordinates rewriting themselves. It was as if the space around them was alive. "Sir," said the helmsman, the computers picking up faint transmissions. "Origin. Unknown. They sound old." The crew listened. Through the static came fragments of sound, voices, laughter, strange music. Then, a clear message repeated in an ancient tongue. "You are entering restricted space. Turn back." A low murmur spread across the bridge. The translator confirmed the origin of the language, Human Standard, 21st century. But that was impossible. Humans were gone. Weren't they? Vika leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing. "It's a trick. Keep going." The fleet moved closer. The moment they crossed the border of the Sol system, every ship's sensors exploded with readings. Energy signatures stronger than anything they had ever recorded filled their screens. Dozens, no, hundreds of objects moving at high speed, too fast for standard drives. "Contacts approaching," shouted a technician. "Number." Hundreds, maybe more. But the scanners couldn't focus. The signatures appeared and vanished instantly, as if the ships were phasing in and out of existence. No visual contact. No transmissions. Then, one appeared. Right in front of the Iron Veil. It wasn't large, smaller than a Corran cruiser, but it hovered motionless, black as space itself. Its hull was smooth, sharp, and unmarked except for a faint blue emblem glowing near its center. A circle with white lines crossing through it. Unknown. The human ship said nothing. It simply watched. "Open a channel," Vika ordered. "Identify yourselves." Silence. Then, the human vessel moved, vanishing from the screen in an instant. Not jumping. Not warping. Just gone. Vika's crew stared at the empty void. "Sir, that wasn't a warp drive," the engineer whispered. "Then what was it?" "Something faster." Moments later, the same ship appeared behind them, then beside them, then above them. It was toying with them. Studying them. Vika's claws tightened on the armrest. "They're mocking us." "Orders, sir." "Arm weapons. I want that ship disabled." Missiles armed. Plasma cannons charged. But before the command could be given, every weapon system went offline. All at once. The bridge lights flickered. Communications failed. Even the ship's artificial gravity faltered for a moment. Then a voice filled the comms. Calm. Cold. Human. "You are trespassing in Soul Defense territory. Identify or be neutralized." Every word was clear. No static. No distortion. Just that calm, steady voice echoing through all channels. The crew froze. Some stared at each other, pale and silent. Vika forced a laugh. Bluff. Empty threats. He ordered a pulse cannon fired at the empty space ahead. A single blue beam shot forward. Only to stop mid-flight, frozen in the air like time itself had been locked. And then it vanished. Every ship in the fleet went dark. Engines dead. Weapons dead. Only emergency lights flickered in the gloom. A moment later, a new message appeared on every screen. A simple logo, a blue circle with white lines. And beneath it, text in perfect galactic common. United Nations Space Command. Sol System. Silence filled the bridge. No one spoke. No one breathed. Vika stared at the screen, trying to understand. Humans. Still alive. And far beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. He whispered, almost to himself. "What have we stepped into?" In the distance, hidden behind the light of the sun, the real fleet waited. Hundreds of human warships, silent, invisible, and ready. The Corans had crossed the border. And now, the humans were watching. The fleet hung dead in space. Engines cold. Lights flickering. No sound except the faint hum of backup power echoing through metal halls. Admiral Vika stood at the center of his darkened bridge, staring at the emblem glowing on the main screen. A blue circle, with white lines cutting across it. United Nations Space Command, Sol System. That name meant nothing to most of his officers. But deep in the oldest galactic records, it appeared once, long ago, a small, primitive alliance of humans from a violent world called Earth. They were supposed to have died out centuries ago. And yet, here it was. Alive. Watching. Waiting. Reboot power systems. Vika barked. "I want control now." The crew scrambled to obey. Sparks flew from panels. The air smelled of burnt metal. But no matter what they tried, the systems stayed dead. The fleet had been taken. Then, across the black void, something moved. Dozens of small ships appeared on the edges of the Coran formation. Fast. Silent. Predatory. They surrounded the crippled fleet like sharks circling prey. "Sir," whispered the sensor officer, "they're everywhere. But I can't lock onto them." "Why not?" "They're jamming our scans." "No, wait." The officer's voice cracked. "They're not there." Vika turned sharply. "Explain." "They're projecting false positions. Every time I try to track one, it's somewhere else." The Admiral felt the scales on his neck rise. This wasn't simple technology. This was dominance. Whoever these humans were, they had turned warfare into art. One of the small ships broke formation. It drifted forward, straight toward the Coran flagship. Vika ordered weapons powered up again, but the command failed. The targeting systems refused to respond. Then, a beam of white light swept across the ship, like a scanner. No explosion. No threat. Just a look. They were being studied. "They're scanning us, sir," the science officer said. "Block it." "I can't. They're inside our firewalls already." The bridge screens began to flash. Data lines scrolled in alien code, rewriting themselves faster than anyone could react. Then the main display turned black. For a heartbeat, there was nothing. Then a human face appeared. He was calm. Expressionless. Eyes cold and grey like stone. Wearing a dark uniform marked with that same blue emblem, the symbol of the United Nations Space Command. "You have entered restricted territory," the human said. His voice was quiet, but carried through every ship in the Corran fleet. "Power down your weapons. Remain where you are." Vika stepped forward, glaring at the screen. "Identify yourself." "Commander Nathan Hale, Sol Defense Network." "On what authority do you attack my fleet?" Vika roared. "We are of the Corran Empire. We answer to the Galactic Council." There was a pause. The human's expression didn't change. "The Council," he said softly, "does not speak for Sol." Vika slammed his fist on the console. "You will release our systems or face destruction." The human tilted his head slightly, as if amused. "Destruction," he said. "You came into our home, Admiral. You don't make the rules here." Then the screen went dark. A low hum filled the air. Outside, the surrounding human ships began to move, forming a perfect sphere around the Corran fleet. Energy signatures spiked, but not in attack mode. Something was building. "Sir, reading massive power surges from their vessels," shouted the tactical officer. "Shields up." "They're not firing, sir. They're—" A pulse rippled through space. Every Corran ship flickered as if time itself had jumped forward a second. And when their sensors came back online, they were somewhere else. Every star, every planet, every coordinate was gone. They were adrift in empty, silent space. Vika's eyes widened. What did they do?" "They displaced us," whispered his navigator. "We didn't move, space itself did." The fleet had been relocated. Instantly. No hyperdrive signature. No jump. Just gone from one place and appearing in another. Then, slowly, the main screen lit again. Commander Hale was back. "You have seen what we can do," he said. "Now listen carefully. Leave our borders. Do not return." Vika clenched his jaw. "You think you can scare me with tricks?" "Tricks?" Hale repeated. The human leaned closer to the camera. His eyes were like iron. "You sent 30 ships here before. We warned them too." The bridge went silent. Vika felt a cold weight in his stomach. "Where are they?" he asked quietly. For the first time, the human's expression changed. Not anger. Not pride. Just a shadow of something darker. "Gone," he said. "We gave them the same choice. They fired first." And then the signal cut again. All across the Corran fleet, engines roared back to life. Power restored. Weapons reactivated. But before anyone could speak, new data filled their screens, every star chart, every system map, rewritten. In bold red letters across the navigation display, one line appeared. "Sol System, Quarantine Zone. Trespassers will be terminated." Admiral Vika stood frozen. For the first time in his long career, he felt true fear. These weren't primitives. These weren't savages. These were predators who had learned to master the dark. He turned slowly to his officers. "Set course out of the system," he said quietly. "Now." But as the fleet prepared to leave, sensors flashed again, hundreds of human ships still tracking them from the shadows. Not firing. Not chasing. Just watching. And as the Corran fleet jumped to safety, a final transmission reached their ships. A single sentence, burned into every log file. "Earth remembers. Stay away." The jump was smooth. Too smooth. One moment, the Corran fleet was surrounded by hundreds of human ships, dark, silent, and deadly. The next, they were light years away, drifting near the edge of council-controlled space. The stars were familiar again. The tension eased. Engines hummed. Lights flickered back to life. Everyone on board the flagship Iron Veil exhaled, almost in disbelief. They were alive. But none of them celebrated. Something had followed them back. A feeling. A silence that pressed on every mind. No one spoke for minutes. Then, finally, Admiral Vika broke the stillness. Status report. All ships accounted for, sir, the comms officer said quietly. No damage. Systems restored. And the humans? The officer swallowed. Gone. Every trace of them, gone. Vika leaned forward, his claws tapping against the cold metal of his console. Scan for transmissions. Anything, signals, echoes, static. Yes, sir. A few moments passed. Then, the officer's voice trembled. Sir, there is something. Play it. The main screen came alive. Static. Then a flicker. Then, a voice. It was the same human from before, Commander Hale. But now his tone was colder. Measured. Final. You were warned. The Sol system is not open space. It is protected. Your kind entered uninvited, twice. The first time, we erased the fleet that would not listen. The second time, we spared you. Remember that. The bridge went silent. No one dared to move. The message continued. If you return, we will not send another warning. We will not negotiate. We will end you. Then the screen faded to black. But before it fully died out, one final image appeared, a massive human warship drifting behind Earth's moon, its hull covered with the same blue symbol. UNSC Infinity-class Dreadnought. The file ended. No one said a word. Hours later, the Corran fleet limped back to Council space. Their arrival caused chaos. Every government demanded answers. Every news network wanted footage. When the recordings from the Iron Veil were shown to the Galactic Council, the chamber fell into complete silence. 30 species, leaders, admirals, ambassadors, sat frozen as Commander Hale's cold voice echoed through the room. If you return, we will end you. Even the oldest among them had never heard such certainty. Not rage. Not threat. Just promise. Admiral Vika stood before them, his armor scratched and dull, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. You all wanted to know what happened to the First Fleet, he said quietly. Now you know. They were destroyed. Effortlessly. No battle. No trace. The humans wiped them out like they were nothing. Whispers filled the air. Impossible. A dead species can't do that. He's lying. Vika slammed his hand down on the table. The sound echoed like thunder. Do I look like I'm lying? He pointed at the projection still flickering above the chamber, a single human dreadnought larger than any ship ever built by the Council. That ship moved us across light years with a single pulse. It shut down our systems like we were insects. We couldn't even see their fleet until they wanted us to. A reptilian delegate hissed. Then what do you suggest, Admiral? That we fear them? That we kneel to these deathworlders? Vika stared at him. I suggest we stay away from them. He turned, his gaze sweeping across the chamber. You don't understand what I saw. They're not conquerors. They're not seeking war. They're guardians, and we stepped into their nest. Later that night, in the dark corridors of the Council spire, whispers spread again. The word human returned to galactic language. Some called them ghosts. Others called them monsters. But among the soldiers, a new name took hold, the Watchers of Sol. No one knew how powerful they truly were. No one wanted to find out. Still, there were those who didn't believe. The Condominion, war-hungry, arrogant, and proud, mocked the idea. A dead world, their generals laughed. Let the humans come. We'll burn their little planet to ash. But even as they laughed, something strange happened. Their long-range sensors detected a signal. Not near their space. Not from the Council. It came from the dark. A single broadcast, old and familiar, ancient human music. A slow, haunting melody played on what the translators identified as a piano. Then a voice followed. Calm. Measured. Human. "You talk too much." And then the transmission ended. Back in council space, Admiral Vika sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars. He replayed the human message over and over, listening to every word, every pause. The more he heard it, the more he realized something terrifying. The humans hadn't threatened them. They'd warned them. As if they'd seen this all before. He looked out the viewport at the distant light of a blue star, the Sol system. Silent. Peaceful. But deep down, he knew what it truly was. A fortress. A cage of steel and shadows. A home for predators who had learned to hide their claws until provoked. He whispered quietly to himself. We shouldn't have gone there. Far away, in the cold dark beyond the stars, human ships drifted silently near the edges of their system. Hidden. Watching. Listening. And when alien sensors dared to sweep near Sol, the same automated voice always answered, calm, patient, final. You are approaching restricted space. Turn back. No one ever ignored it again. The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every station, every military base, every backwater colony, everyone had heard it. If you return, we will end you. The humans had spoken. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was afraid. But not everyone believed. The Galactic Council tried to calm the panic. They said the message could be a trick, a fake transmission, a scare tactic from unknown pirates. The news channels debated endlessly, were humans truly alive? Could a lost species really do this? The scientists said no. The soldiers weren't so sure. And the Khan Dominion, a brutal empire that believed only in conquest, laughed. The Khans' challenge. The Khan were not known for patience. They ruled through fear, through fire, through war. When they heard that the Corran fleet had been destroyed by deathworlders, their response was simple. We will see for ourselves. They gathered a fleet, not 30 ships, but 300. Armored dreadnoughts, cruisers, and carriers. An army that had crushed a dozen worlds. The fleet's supreme commander, Lord Dravik, stood before his captains. These humans are ghosts, he said, his voice booming through the command deck. My ancestors fought in the Great Expansion. They said Earth was dead. A burned rock. I say it's still dead. He raised his clawed hand toward the star map. The Sol system glowed red. Set course. We go hunting. The approach. The Khan fleet entered the outer Sol system in perfect formation. Sensors scanned every moon, every rock, every signal. Nothing. No ships. No transmissions. No sign of life. Just silence. Then, Commander, we're picking up something, one officer said. A small object near the third planet. Identify. Metallic. Cold. It's just a satellite. Laughter filled the bridge. A satellite. That's their defense. Dravik smirked. Pathetic. Destroy it. The cruiser Varkoth locked onto the satellite and fired a plasma burst. The explosion lit the void for a brief moment. But when the light faded, the satellite was still there. Perfect. Untouched. What? Before anyone could react, the satellite turned. A single red light blinked on its surface. Then it spoke. Warning. You have entered restricted space. Turn back immediately. The voice was mechanical, emotionless. But something about it froze the Khan officers where they stood. Dravik grinned. So they do exist. He leaned closer to the screen. Tell your masters, little machine, the Khan do not turn back. For a moment, there was silence. Then the satellite replied. Warning acknowledged. Response authorized. The light turned blue. And then, the stars changed. The awakening. At first, it looked like the stars themselves were moving. Tiny pinpoints of light shifted in the distance. Then the fleet scanners caught up. Those weren't stars. They were ships. Dozens. Hundreds. Maybe more. Massive human warships materialized silently across the darkness, sleek, black, and armed to the teeth. Each one bore the same insignia, UNSC Sol Defense Command. Every ship aimed its weapons at the Khan fleet. Dravik's crew panicked. Sir, they're everywhere. We're surrounded. I can't get a lock. They're jamming everything. Dravok snarled. Fire everything. Now. The Khan fleet unleashed a storm of plasma, missiles, and ion fire. Thousands of blasts cut across the black. Every human ship vanished. We hit them, a Khan officer shouted. But before they could celebrate, the human ships reappeared. Untouched. Not a single scratch. And then, one by one, their forward cannons began to glow. A deep blue light filled the void. What is that? No one had time to answer. The first human shot fired. A beam of energy crossed the distance faster than any plasma bolt. It hit the lead Khan ship and erased it. No explosion. No debris. Just silence. One ship gone. Then another. Then 5. Then 20. Each destroyed with surgical precision. The Khan fleet broke formation in terror. Retreat. Retreat. Dravok roared. But it was too late. A voice echoed across every Khan comm channel, the same calm human tone as before. You were warned. The surviving ships jumped into hyperspace, fleeing blindly into the void. Only a handful escaped. Behind them, the Sol system fell silent again. The human ships faded away, vanishing like shadows. The aftermath. Weeks later, the news reached the Galactic Council. The mighty Khan Dominion had lost 2/3 of its invasion fleet. The survivors were broken, silent, and haunted. Lord Dravok refused to speak after his return. He simply stared at the stars for days, whispering one word over and over. Eyes. They had eyes in the dark. The council called for an emergency session. The Korans, the Valians, the Draxians, all demanded answers. Were the humans truly back? Admiral Vika sat in the chamber, silent. He didn't need proof. He already knew. The humans hadn't attacked out of vengeance. They had only defended their space. But the message was clear and final. Humanity wasn't gone. They were watching. And the stars would remember this night forever. The night the galaxy learned what it meant to cross the borders of Earth. The night humanity spoke, not with words, but with power. You were warned. The council chamber had never been this quiet. Not during the wars. Not during the fall of colonies. Not even when the stars themselves were dying. Every delegate sat frozen, eyes fixed on the holoscreen above the center of the room. The footage had arrived only hours ago, a recording from one of the Khan escape ships. It was rough, distorted, filled with static. But it was clear enough. They all saw it. Hundreds of human ships appearing from the void. Perfect coordination. Impossible precision. And then, a single, blinding flash. Dozens of Khan warships gone in a heartbeat. When the video ended, the silence lingered like a living thing. Finally, Councillor Vrix of the Valians spoke. So, it's true. No one replied. He looked around the chamber, his voice rising. The humans are not myths. They are not extinct. They are here. Watching. The Koran representative hissed softly. You call that watching? That was annihilation. The Khan fleet was erased like dust. A Draxian general slammed his fist on the table. Good. The Khan have slaughtered thousands. If the humans have this power, maybe they'll keep those beasts in check. Admiral Vika stood up. His armor gleamed under the lights. You fools. The chamber went silent again. Do you really think the humans care about our wars? About our politics? They don't. He walked slowly toward the center, the holomap of Sol spinning above him. They warned us. Twice. We ignored them. And they spared us. Do you understand what that means? No one spoke. It means they could have destroyed us all, and chose not to. The Ghost Fleet. A few weeks later, the Council sent a small reconnaissance team, not a military fleet this time, just a research vessel. Their mission, to observe from a distance, to confirm what remained near Sol. The ship, Observer's Hope, reached the outer boundary of human space. The captain, a young Zelian named Autar, kept her voice calm as she dictated her log. Entering coordinates near Sol. No contact so far. Sensors active. Her science officer looked uneasy. Captain, are you sure this is wise? After what happened to the con? We're staying beyond the line. Just observation. The ship drifted in silence. Hours passed. Nothing appeared. No ships. No transmissions. Then a faint signal blinked on their screen. Unidentified object detected, the officer said. The captain leaned forward. Visual. A small black object floated in the void, perfectly still, perfectly silent. Another satellite. The same design. The same faint blue light. Suddenly, their comms came alive. This is Sol Defense Command. You are approaching restricted space. Transmit identification or alter course immediately. Autar froze. The voice was calm. Precise. But it wasn't machine-like this time. It sounded human. This is Captain Autar of the Galactic Council vessel Observer's Hope. We mean no harm. We come in peace. There was silence for a moment. Then the voice returned. Your presence is noted. May we open diplomatic contact? Autar asked quickly. No response. Just static. Then, a faint whisper through the channel, soft, almost like a sigh. You're not ready. And then the signal vanished. The satellite turned away and went dark. The crew sat frozen. Captain, what did they mean by that? The science officer asked. Autar didn't answer. She just stared at the stars ahead. I think it means they're still watching us. Echoes in the dark. When Observer's Hope returned, its recording was shown to the council. The voice analysis confirmed it. Human. Real. The council chambers filled with debate once again. They are still there. They spoke to us. Then we can make peace. But Admiral Vika shook his head. You don't understand. They don't want war. They don't want peace. They want distance. Councillor Vrix frowned. Distance? From what? From us. Vika turned toward the holodisplay, a projection of Earth. Blue oceans. White clouds. So peaceful. So silent. They've seen what our galaxy is, he said. The greed. The conquest. The endless wars. They chose to stay away. And when we crossed into their home, they reminded us why that was a mistake. The hidden past. Later that night, in the quiet halls of the archive spire, an ancient historian uncovered something remarkable. Old records. Forgotten data logs. From before the Council's founding. They spoke of the early expansion, the first explorers, the first human colonies. And then, a disappearance. Entire fleets gone. 1,000 worlds lost contact. No explanation. Just one recorded phrase in the old language of Earth. Project Silence. The historian's hands trembled as she read the description. To preserve humanity's survival, the Sol system will be hidden from all external detection. Automated defense and misinformation protocols will activate upon intrusion. Her eyes widened. They hadn't vanished. They had hidden themselves. And now, centuries later, they had returned. The realization. Back in his quarters, Admiral Vika replayed the words again. You're not ready. He stared at the stars outside his viewport. Maybe they were right. The galaxy had spent centuries fighting, conquering, dividing. But humans, they had learned from their own destruction. They didn't just build weapons. They built walls. And behind those walls, they became something else. Smarter. Stronger. Beyond reach. Vika whispered softly, as if afraid the stars could hear him. We thought they were gone, but they were only waiting. Far away, beyond the reach of any alien sensor, a single human ship drifted near Neptune. Its crew watched the galaxy through invisible scanners, recording every movement, every transmission. A small message blinked on their console. Incoming signal from Earth Command. Observation complete. Maintain silence. The captain smiled faintly. Understood. The galaxy's still not ready. The stars glimmered quietly outside. And for the first time in centuries, humanity felt no fear of the dark. Because they were the dark. A year had passed since the incident. The galaxy was quiet, Too quiet. The Con Dominion had stopped its endless wars. The Corans stopped exploring near-human space. Even the Council avoided speaking the word Sol out loud. But rumors never stopped. Some said they'd seen human ships near abandoned colonies. Others whispered about strange transmissions on forgotten frequencies, voices speaking in a dead Earth language. And then, one night, the whispers became truth. The signal. It started on the edge of Council space, at a lonely research outpost orbiting a red dwarf star. The crew were half asleep when the signal came. A repeating pattern, 3 tones, pause, 3 tones, pause, 3 tones. Captain, the comm officer said nervously, we're receiving an old-style transmission. Binary code. Binary. The officer nodded. Human origin. The captain frowned. Play it. The sound echoed through the bridge, slow, mechanical, deliberate. Then a voice followed, soft but clear. To the Galactic Council. This is Earth Command. The bridge went silent. We have observed your wars, your treaties, your chaos. You seek contact. You seek answers. You are not ready for either. The captain's hands trembled. Is this live? No, said the officer. It's a recorded broadcast, sent across hundreds of systems at once. The message continued. We once tried to join your kind. We offered peace. We offered science. You took our worlds. You called us deathworlders. You were right. Then the signal ended. Every screen on the station flickered for a second. And there it was, the symbol no one had seen in centuries. The United Nations of Earth. Panic and wonder. Within hours, every star network in the galaxy was repeating the same thing. The humans have returned. Some called it a threat. Some called it a miracle. The council gathered again. This cannot be coincidence, said Councillor Vrix. Their message reached every corner of space, even the hidden colonies. They've been watching for centuries. Admiral Vika nodded slowly. They never stopped. But why now? Someone asked. Why reveal themselves? Vika looked tired. Because we forced them to. He pressed a button on his console. A hologram appeared, intercepted data from deep space. Thousands of human ships, moving. But not toward the council. Not toward the con. They were spreading out, to the edges of known space, one system at a time. They're not invading, Vika said. They're reclaiming. The encounter. 3 days later, the first official contact happened. A council patrol ship, Silver Wing, was traveling through the neutral zone when its sensors went dark. The crew tried to reboot, nothing worked. Then, a shape appeared ahead. A massive ship, unlike any ever seen. Dark metal. No lights. No markings, except one. UNSC Horizon. The council captain opened a channel immediately. This is Captain Tarrell of the council vessel Silver Wing. We come in peace. A moment passed. Then a voice answered, calm, human, and cold. We know who you are. We seek to. You seek to understand, the voice interrupted. But you cannot understand what you fear. Tarrell took a deep breath. Why now? Why return after so long? There was a pause. Then the human replied. Because you keep coming to our door. A ripple of static ran through the channel, followed by a final statement. Tell your council this, the Sol system is not isolated anymore. The walls are open. But only the worthy may step through. Then the human ship vanished, without a jump, without a trace. Just, gone. The revelation. Back on the council homeworld, chaos spread again. They're opening their borders. They're challenging us. No, they're testing us. For the first time in history, no one dared to act. The great empires waited. The pirates hid. Even the Condominion sent no ships toward Sol. Admiral Vika sat alone in the war room, staring at the newest transmission, an image sent from deep space. It showed Earth. But not the Earth from the old archives. The planet was covered with vast orbital rings, glowing defense grids, and fleets so large they looked like constellations. Hundreds of stations, shipyards, and colonies. A voice accompanied the image, female, strong, and proud. You looked at Earth and saw a death world. We looked at Earth and saw home. The voice paused. You fear us because you do not understand us. But we are what you made us. We adapted. We endured. We evolved. Then the image zoomed out, showing thousands of human ships forming a perfect line across the stars. And now, the galaxy must decide, coexist or vanish. The transmission ended. The Council's dilemma. The chamber erupted with noise. We cannot fight them. We cannot surrender either. They'll destroy us all. Admiral Vika spoke quietly, almost to himself. They're not here to destroy. Then what are they here for? A counselor demanded. Vika looked up, his eyes full of something between awe and fear. To see if we've learned anything. He stood, turning toward the great windows that overlooked the stars. They left once because the galaxy was violent and greedy. If we haven't changed. He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone in the room knew what he meant. The shadows awaken. Far away, in the black sea of the Outer Rim, a fleet of human ships drifted silently near a dying sun. Inside the command vessel, UNSC Horizon, Admiral Hale watched the holographic map of the galaxy. Dozens of red markers blinked, council worlds, con strongholds, pirate dens. He turned to his officers. The experiment begins. One of them nodded. And if they fail? Hale smiled faintly. Then we do what humans always do. He looked at the stars, his eyes reflecting their cold light. We survive. The galaxy waited. Every world. Every fleet. Every species that had once mocked the word human. Now they whispered it with fear, or with awe. The Sol system was open. But no one dared to enter. Not the mighty Con Dominion. Not the proud Corran fleets. Not even the Galactic Council itself. Because everyone remembered what had happened the last time. The humans didn't send ambassadors. They didn't send traders. They sent warnings. And every warning had been followed by silence. The Council's choice. The Council gathered one final time. Every leader, every general, every scientist sat in a grand chamber beneath the stars. The tension was so heavy that even the air seemed to hold its breath. Admiral Vika stood at the center, facing them all. His scales looked older, his eyes tired, but sharper than ever. You've all seen their message, he began. You've seen their fleets, their power, their restraint. He let the words sink in. They could destroy us. But they haven't. That means something. Councillor Vrix leaned forward. And what do you suggest, Admiral? That we beg for peace? Vika shook his head. No. That we earn it. He turned to the star map. Sol glowed at the center, bright and untouchable. The humans are not conquerors. They are judges. They've been watching how we live, how we fight, how we destroy each other. This is their test. And if we fail? Another delegate asked quietly. Vika didn't look up. Then we vanish, like their first fleet. The ghost transmission. Hours later, while the council debated endlessly, something strange happened. A transmission appeared on every major network at once. No signal origin. No encryption. Just a message. The screen showed the face of a human, Commander Hale. Older now, but the same calm, controlled voice. To the species of the Galactic Council, he began. You call us deathworlders. You are right. But you misunderstand the word. He paused, his eyes steady. Earth was a deathworld because it was cruel. It burned, froze, and tested us every day. But we did not destroy it. We endured it. We became what we had to, not to conquer, but to survive. When we reached the stars, we saw that cruelty again, in you. The screen shifted to images, wars, bombardments, slave colonies, burned worlds. We tried to stop it. You laughed. We tried to reason. You ignored us. And when we refused to kneel, you came to our home. The image changed, showing the first Corran fleet, now only wreckage drifting near Pluto. We ended them because we had to. Silence filled every chamber, every world that was watching. But we have watched you since then. We've seen courage, compassion, mercy, rare, but real. Perhaps the galaxy is not beyond hope. Hale leaned closer to the camera. So here is our judgment. The judgment. The screen faded to a map of the galaxy. Blue circles appeared, dozens of them. Each one surrounded a system known for peace, for progress, for mercy. These worlds have shown what we value: unity, science, honor. They will receive contact. Then red circles appeared, hundreds of them. Con systems. Slave empires. War-driven colonies. These worlds will not. You have one cycle to change your ways, to evolve, to become better. Or we will make sure you never harm another soul again. The screen went black. For a full minute, the galaxy held its breath. The aftermath. The reaction was chaos. Some called it tyranny. Some called it justice. Some simply fell to their knees and prayed to whatever god still listened. The Con Dominion tried to resist. They launched new fleets, armed with everything they had. But when their ships reached the edge of Sol, they didn't even get a chance to fire. A single human dreadnought appeared, larger than a moon. Its weapons powered up once. And then, the Con fleet was gone. No explosions. No debris. Just silence. The message was clear. Humanity did not negotiate with violence. The revelation. Weeks passed. The galaxy began to change. Wars ended. Trade opened. Even the most arrogant species began to talk instead of fight. Because somewhere, hidden behind the stars, the humans were watching. Admiral Vika visited the observation deck of his flagship, staring at the stars. He whispered softly, "Maybe they were never monsters. Maybe they were what we should have been." The final secret. But one question still remained. What really happened to the first Corran fleet? That mystery was finally answered when a secret human message was discovered inside the Council database. A single encrypted file. No one knew how it got there. When it was opened, it played a short video. The recording showed hundreds of alien soldiers standing on a massive station, alive, unharmed. Corrans. Commander Hale appeared beside them, arms folded. "Your fleet wasn't destroyed," he said. "It was taken." He smiled faintly. "You're going to help us build something better." The message ended with one last line of text. They entered human space and found purpose. The epilogue. Years later, explorers from the Council would find new colonies far beyond the galactic rim. Peaceful, efficient, thriving. And at the center of each, a human advisor, guiding them quietly. No empire ruled them. No wars consumed them. Only balance. And every so often, if you listened to the stars at night, you could still hear the echo of that final warning. You are entering human space. Turn back, or be changed.